As the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation approaches, the Indigenous community in Hamilton held an event ahead of Monday to not only remember and acknowledge the hard parts of the past, but reconcile for the future. Eric Vieno has more.
Celebration of culture. That's what organizers of the third annual Truth and Reconciliation event say it's all about.
It's just about bringing community together, building community, building connections, and, celebrating our culture. So we bring in our vendors and highlight their skills.
Like Kathy Moore of Maisie Way Indigenous Designs.
My ancestors have trapped and traded furs for over 220 years. All part of Truth and Reconciliation is just being able to tell your story and have people listen to it and learn from it and ask questions. And the furs really do seem to open up that door.
Along with the stories told through music, dance, and art, some hard stories were told as well.
We bring in our survivors, because part of the TRC obviously about the education of the residential schools and the impacts.
The National Day for Truth and Reconciliation was recognized by the federal government in 2021. It's a day to honor those who survived and the children who never returned home from government-sponsored religious schools established to assimilate Indigenous children into Euro-Canadian culture, also known as residential schools. Dawn Hill is one of the survivors.
The biggest impact I think that it had on children, not only the violence and learning to be violent, but the loneliness. Like, you have nobody to turn to. You can't even get a hug from your sister or anything like that. Or brother. Part of your family was in another area. You didn't even get to talk to them.
In recent years, unmarked graves have been discovered near residential schools across Canada. The residential school system operated in Canada for well over 100 years, but it's not a thing of the distant past. Some residential schools didn't close until the 1990s.
You really want people to understand that it happened. And if you don't tell that story and then reinforce that it happened with children, the general public is not going to know.
But the Indigenous community says it wants to look to the future as well and reclaim the culture that was taken from them.
You couldn't do your ceremonies, you couldn't practice any of your skills or anything like that, or your language. So when I see all of this is something that the government in the past tried to take away, and here it is. If you look around this park today, you see a whole bunch of First Nations people celebrating their culture.
This event continues tomorrow at Gage Park. Eric Vieno, CHCH News, Hamilton.